Who can I make a difference in their life today? That's my goal. That's what carries me, through those hard times is I know why I'm doing this. And I believe in everything I'm doing that it does make a difference.
Are you tired of using low quality photos or even worse, selfies that don't truly represent your brand? Do you want to make a real connection with your ideal client and stand out in a crowded market? Lisa is a certified professional photographer, master photographer, and marketing consultant with more than 2 decades of experience. She understands the power of visual storytelling and how it intersects with effective marketing strategy. Lisa is passionate about helping entrepreneurs showcase their unique strengths, personality, and values through authentic, individualized photography that resonates with their target audience and elevates their brand. If you want to hear more from entrepreneurs like Lisa, be sure to hit subscribe and join our community. And thank you so much, Lisa, for being here today. It is such a pleasure to have you. When I first met you, I was like, I need to have Lisa on the show to just share your journey, the highs and lows. But I would love to know, how did you get started in photography?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I got into photography really by accident. I was helping my son, who was just all over the place with his interests, and we took a photography class. And that was really fun. So we did a lot of that together. And then over time, I worked in marketing agencies and I needed to supervise other photo shoots. So I was very good at directing the photo shoots, but I hadn't ever been truly behind the camera on certain photo shoots. When I took a job at a resort, we didn't have budget to hire a photographer. So I had a camera. I became the photographer. And next thing I knew, people were hiring me to take pictures of their family on vacation, of their weddings, and their high school seniors. And that was really how it began. And now I can't think of not doing it. It's just my joy.
Oh, I love it. I love how it started with a photography class with your son and how it just morphed into something so beautiful. And it sounds like it just kind of all aligned. People started to see your work and you really just honed in on it, because sometimes people are trying to find, okay, well, what kind of business should I start or what should I do? But it kind of just fell into your lap in the sense of, okay, they needed a photographer and you stepped up and did what was necessary and then started to book all these jobs. And I'm curious, how did you end up specializing in branding photography?
With branding, so because I have a marketing background, I have a very lengthy career in marketing, and I love marketing every bit as much as I love photography. And with branding, it's very important that people, whether they're CEOs or just a one person solopreneur type of business, it's really important that they're able to showcase who they are and how they are with their clients to make them more relatable. So that's where that photography began with branding, because I knew I could help them bring out their personalities, their little quirks in the photographs. And then I would also coach them about how they could use those different images to elevate their brand online, whether it was in their websites or their social media. I knew that I could help them do that. That's where that began. And it's really one of the biggest parts of my business. That and high school seniors are the two larger areas of my business. And, I love both. So that's how it started.
I love that. And, I think you brought up something super important where there's a lot of photographers out there and differentiating yourself amongst all of them. But I love that you have that marketing background where you can really see the things that maybe somebody can't see, or is just they're able to get a really beautiful shot, but it's how they can utilize it for their website, their social media, all the back end stuff that we don't always think about right away, especially when we're running a business and we're focused on that. But being able to merge the two is so beautiful. And I'm curious because there are so many photographers out there and the high quality that you provide for your clients. Can you give an example how that's impacted an entrepreneur's business by helping them find what works best for their websites and other things too?
First off, I have studied photography for a lot of years. So I've been in business for 17 years. And I've also earned my master photographer certification. And that is a elevated standard of service that I provide, but also the quality of the work that I do. There's so many different photographers at very different levels.
Yes.
And many of them are very good at what they do. But if they don't have that marketing background that I do, you end up with a lot of pictures of people holding their coffee cup, people showing, up at their computer. And all of those are true of an entrepreneur. We will drink coffee or tea and we will be sitting at our computer, but that doesn't say anything about the person. And I think how I take the time really to learn about the person. I meet with them beforehand, and I like to find their quirky side, the side that, shows up when they're doing their business, but you wouldn't normally see it if you were at a networking event or something like that. So I try to find what makes them unique, what makes them like who they are. And that's what I want to bring out in the photo shoot. For instance, I had a client who was very shy, and she is a virtual assistant, and she was very quiet and very shy. But I reminded her that to be a virtual assistant to a very busy entrepreneur or business owner with a much larger company, that is a superpower in and of itself. And so I put her in a cape, a hot pink cape. And that hot pink cape, when she put that cape on, she became that superwoman. And she always was that, I'm sure, to her clients. But there was some transformation that happened when she put on that cape, and she had a little magic wand that I had her hold. And people were really attracted to that. And so they reach out to her because of that. They're like, I need your superpowers. And she was very uncomfortable when I asked her to do that, but she did it. And it's actually turned out really well for her. So I think the results are when people can see who you are, the real you, then you jump several steps up in that respect and that trust factor, because people aren't going to do business with you if they don't respect or they don't trust you. And the fastest way to do that is show people who you are and what you're about and how you work with your clients.
Oh, I love that. I want to go back to what you said because I remember my first photo shoot when I first started my business, coffee cup, like laptop, all of that. I probably still have some of those photos, but it's funny how that doesn't showcase our personality. Like, yes, like I love coffee and yeah, that showcases a little part of me, but I love how you really took the steps to help this virtual assistant really shine in her light, gave her the cape, gave her the wand, being able to really embody who she was to other people, but how she saw herself, or maybe getting her out of her shell in order to really attract the right customers and clientele. And I think that's what it's about in that visual branding that you do so well for so many of your clients. I've seen your work, it's phenomenal. But what are some of the common mistakes that entrepreneurs make when it comes to visual branding?
First off, I think that a lot of times they're looking at how to stay within a budget, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest mistake is the DIY. Don't do it yourself because it will show. And I have a phrase, it's very common, but it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And my thought is if you are willing to shortcut something that would raise your level of quality for your own business, then where would you shortcut for a client? And a selfie, while there's a place and a time for selfies,
Mhm.
Those aren't necessarily the photos you want to use when you're trying to enhance your credibility or stop the scroll. You want something that is really going to be stop the scroll worthy and just bring out something that is maybe a little unexpected or a little bit different. So the biggest mistake is don't hire somebody that is super cheap. When you hire somebody that is really inexpensive, the problem is they don't have the broader view. And part of your visual brand is going to impact how clients see you. And that is far more important than almost anything you could do. That's why you just need to hire somebody that is experienced. And I think that's what makes me better at doing this than like some of my competitors is that I have that marketing background. I have the marketing savvy. I know how to get noticed. I know how to generate demand for your product.
That's so true. Because a lot of times I think when you're starting your business, you're like, okay, I don't have the funds, and you DIY things, and it shows. It truly does, especially if you don't have systems in place. Marketing is a huge aspect of business. And I'm curious, because you had the marketing background, when you first started your photography business, how did it evolve with being able to utilize the skill sets you had in order to build your brand and business?
That's a funny question because first off, it's easier to market other people than it is to market yourself. We all have our blind spots. So I would say that I can market everybody probably better than I market myself. I want to work with other people more than I want to work with myself. So that's always, the challenge. But when it comes to marketing myself and just how I use that, I try to think about what is in it for the people that are looking at my stuff. What's in it for them? So that's the WIFM, the WIIFM. What's in it for me? And in doing so, I just look at how can I project or look at where their pain points are. So a big pain point for an entrepreneur doing a photo shoot, number one, is I don't even know where to begin. What kind of shots do I want? All of that. I've got you. I can take care of all of that. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. I know how to do all of that. And I will make you look the most confident and just project the most authentic self that you can. Given that photography is very awkward kind of a moment for people when they're getting their pictures taken.
Yeah.
Many people don't like to have people watching them get their pictures taken. So I know that, but I also know how to put people at rest. I am your best friend. I will make sure that if your necklace is turned around and showing the little clasp, I got you on that. If you're a man, we're going to like showcase your fancy watch. I'm going to have you turn your arm just so. I am going to know that if you have a hair out of place that is your nemesis, that particular, your bangs or, whatever, I know how to adjust for that. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm watching for those things. And then it's really about how to use those photos. And for me, I use photos all the time. Myself, I take a lot of behind the scenes stuff at my photo shoots because I want people to see what it's like to work with me and that there's a lot of laughing. There's a lot of craziness and fun that is going on. And there's a lot of seriousness too, because we're getting the best possible pictures that we can for you.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful part of it, knowing that you can feel comfortable, because I know so many people, like, I love taking pictures, but like there's a lot of people that are like, I feel awkward, or like doing certain poses that look awkward but come out beautiful. And it's just every style is a little bit different, but I love that you take the time to really become best friends with them, like understand them. And I'm curious because I know you do things so different from what I've heard when you speak about it and just your clientele, and I see the pictures. But what does it really look like, the process when you are working with entrepreneurs from consultation to final delivery? What does that look like for your clients?
For the initial consultation, which I have, that is free. And I first we just start talking about what it is you're trying to achieve, what's happening in your business, and where do you think some of those hiccups are in your business that are making it more difficult for you to book the work you need. And I look at all of that because that's very organic. And then from there, we decide, is this going to be a good fit for each other? Like, can I help you? And do you want to work with me? And at that point, if everything's a go, then we schedule it's an in-home consultation where I come to your home. We're going to talk about locations. We're going to talk about what to wear. We're going to talk about different kinds of props that are going to be appropriate for you or not, so we're going to kind of rule out some of the more cliche kind of props. And maybe we do use a coffee cup, but let's come up with a coffee cup that has a cool saying that you always say so that that makes it personal. And then we'll work through a shot list. We will create that together. That is part of the collaboration of our work together. This isn't just me going and snapping some photos. This is me collaborating with you to create a product that you can use. And then once we have all that figured out, then we go to the location, wherever we're going to shoot. And I like to shoot in a couple of locations just to provide the greatest variety. Or if we're going to a studio, I look for specific studios that have a lot of different areas that we can create like little vignettes of different spaces. So it looks like we've been 10 places, but we might only be at one. I typically don't like to use the same studios or the same places twice because I don't want your pictures to look like somebody else's because that's not unique. So people come to me because I create unique photos. Prior to the shoot, you're getting hair and makeup typically. So that is all done based on how you want to look and how you want to feel. And you're in the driver's seat for all of that. And I might suggest a few refinements just for the camera, but this is going to make you look your best. And then from there, we do the shoot. And a lot of times I'll show you kind of how things are going. During the shoot is when people say they can just see my magic. It just, all of a sudden, it's like a light switch. It just turns on. And I start thinking in social media posts automatically. And I will record on like a voice memo on my phone what I was thinking at a given time. And I will share that with you when I'm revealing your photos so that you can use those in your social media. And I know exactly the pose. I'm going to like adjust your posing to match that particular post. So all of that happens. And then afterwards, I go back to the studio, I do edits on the photos, and then I present to you sometimes I do it in person, and sometimes I will just do it via a Zoom call. We'll go through all of the images that are viable. And I say viable because every good photographer once in a while still snaps a picture of their foot. And you don't want that. So I eliminate all the blinks, all of the, crazy faces, all of those, and all of my oopses, and show you really the best viable options. And then you make your selections based on whatever package you have selected from me. And amazingly enough, some people also purchase wall art. They love their pictures so much that they'll put a piece of that art in their office or something like that. So we talk about all of those. And I will, on those final, shots, once I finish everything up, then I will give you ideas for how to use those photos so that you're not just stuck with a disk or like a jump drive or, an email file of a bunch of photos. You're going to know how to use those and how to leverage those for your business. And one last thing throughout the whole process of the photo shoot, I take reels along the way so that you can create some reels of behind the scenes or different things that went on. And those are just like a little bonus thing that I add in there. And those are really good for content for your social media.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love your process because I think it's just you are very unique from because I know a lot of photographers, but I had never heard of the way you do it. And just even going to different locations, never going the same location twice, being able to give that uniqueness to each individual client that you work with and being able to use your creativity because you've been doing it for 17 years. Correct me if I'm wrong on the date, but like that's insane. And also being able to stay up with trends and knowing with social media, okay, having behind the scenes, the reels, being able to really look at it from so many different angles based off of your marketing background, but who you are as a person as well, and being able to just want to make it fun as well. Because I know you have the spring photo shoot coming up, or did it happen yet? No, it's coming up.
I had a spring one with poppy field.
Yes, yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. And then I'm doing a sunflower field here in August.
Yes. I was like, I knew it was something with flowers. I forgot what flower, but the sunflowers and just being able to really think outside the box and continue to help your clientele in different ways. Can you tell us a little bit more about the sunflowers as well and the photo shoot, what that looks like?
So, to a lot of people, sunflowers signify hope and just this different vibrancy and just joy. And so for some of my women clients, they like to go into the sunflower field and they just sort of play. We do not pick the sunflowers, but a lot of times I'll get a bouquet or two of sunflowers that we can carry around in the field. But it's one of those things, they feel good in the field. It's happy, it's vibrant, it just sort of that whole life. So it elevates them and elevates their mood. This particular sunflower field that I take them to is private. So it's like renting studio space. You rent space in the field. Nobody else is there. So you don't have people watching. You're getting your pictures taken. And they also have some other flowers in that field, like some zinnias and things like that. So people just get a chance to just be out in nature and just sort of let go and do something that's a little bit fun. And believe it or not, whether or not a sunflower is part of your branding, we can still make that a branding shoot because when you are your most authentic self is also what you should show off. And those are also branding pictures. Doesn't matter that yellow might not be your primary branding color. It still can be fun and show a part of you, which you are your brand. And this particular field this year, in addition to getting to be in the field, they have a little greenhouse that we are able to also use to shoot. So that will add variety to the photos that we do.
I love it. It's just you're always thinking outside the box of what's next and how you continue to innovate while also being around other photographers, but how you stand out, how you really differentiate yourself throughout that. And I'm just curious because there's so many entrepreneurs that do need photos, especially for their website, for social media, just getting their name out there, their brand out there. But what advice would you give entrepreneurs who are just starting to build their visual brand identity?
Well, I think first they need to at least get a few shots. So I have kind of an entry package,
Hmm.
which would allow you to have 4 or 5 different shots. And I also offer classes in how to make reels and things like that. And those classes can also help you. That's totally a do-it-yourself kind of a thing. When you're making your reels, you don't need a pro to do that for you. I mean, a pro could do it for you, but you can do those yourself. So I help people figure out how to take pictures of themselves doing things in their business that they can use in a reel. But I do have an entry level package that just allows a beginning entrepreneur to at least get some basic branding pictures, a good headshot, a good kind of an officey looking shot. And that may or may not be at an office. Maybe we just find an inexpensive place where we don't have to buy like studio time. And I can give an entrepreneur some guidelines about making sure that they're staying within their brand and the importance of what that needs to look like from a professional standpoint so that they can do some of that themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's super important. You just got to get started, but I love that you have different tiers of packages. So it could help the beginner to the pro and somebody who's been around for a long time. But with all of that on the front end of just building a business, being able to have other people build their brand identities as well, what are some of the tools that you use on the back end to build your business?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. Well, first off, one of the most important tools that I use is networking. I probably network my face off. I really do. I network probably 4 times a week, and I talk to a lot of people, and I'm not just swapping business cards. I'm talking to people, and number one, how could I help them? Or who am I going to be around that might be able to help that person's business? And so I think I come at it with that go-giver approach, to networking. What else can I give? And I have a heart for that. So that is a really key part of my arsenal of tools is the networking. I also have a really good back end system that's a CRM tool. It's the tool I use for contracts, for invoicing, for all of the things, for communicating with my clients so that things are very smooth and just easy to communicate with. So that's important. Also, I have really great tools also within my business for how I edit the photos. And on some instances, I use some AI tools for some of the editing, and then I fine tune it so that all my photos will look like I edited them. I have a very unique style, but I do use some AI tools, which allows me to maximize my time
Mhm.
and provide clients the best that I can. Email marketing. I do a ton of social media marketing as well. People that look at my page, I'm always posting things. And one thing that I do for my clients, which as it turns out, has really helped my business. And on Sundays, I typically do a showcase of one of my clients. And I will showcase their business. I'll use some of the photos that we took, maybe some of the reels that we did, and I will put them out on my social media as just a recommendation that they should check out this business. So my clients love it. It's just a little spotlight on them and gives them a way to get in front of some different people. And as a result, that's also helped my business.
I love that. And it goes back to your first point of networking, using that as a tool. The more we connect with others, we can help them, even if it doesn't directly help us, but indirectly. And I think you are definitely, you speak volumes to that because of just everything I've seen you do and just how you are always helping people, always wanting to add value wherever you go, especially in just networking events in general. But I think that's a huge part of business, being able to really surround yourself with like-minded individuals that you can help each other continue to grow. But it's also important to have systems like a CRM, having the tools to really help you with your craft, whatever that business may be. And I'm really curious because 17 years in the photography business, more with marketing as well. But what would you say is a lesson that you've learned along this journey that you wish you would have known sooner, but you have learned on that journey?
Okay, the road in entrepreneurship is paved with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of bumps along the road. What I would say is, first off, you don't go on this road or you don't climb the mountain by yourself. Think about it from an analogy of the people that summit Mount Everest don't summit it by themselves. They have guides and they have Sherpas and they have different people that are helping them and all the training. So in entrepreneurship, you need help. You need to surround yourself with really great people who have been there, who know how to navigate these obstacles that you're going to run into at different times in your business. So I think that that's really key. And initially, I didn't do that. I just thought I was supposed to be self-sufficient and that the more I just did myself, because of course, only I can do it the best, right? We think we're the only ones that can do it the best. But the fact is, we're selling ourselves really short. Number one, we aren't always the best at everything. I mean, I am not a bookkeeper. I really don't like the numbers, but it took me a long time before I wanted to hire somebody to help me with my books because I felt like that was private and I didn't want to share that information. And I think the other thing is be vulnerable. There are times in business where you are scared out of your mind about what you're going to do next and how you're going to pay your mortgage or whatever the case is. What about health insurance? All of those things are scary. But I think when you show your vulnerability and just show you don't know everything, you don't have all the answers, and you need help. A few months ago, I really needed some work. I'd hit a slow spot and I went to a networking group and I just said, hey guys, I really need some help. I need some referrals and I really need them now. And they came through big time for me. And I won't forget that. And then that's another way I can pay somebody else back. It's like paying it forward to somebody else. How can I help the next person that is having trouble? So I would say, just getting help and knowing that you don't have to just do it all by yourself. Some of these networking groups that I'm in are great because we mastermind together. We talk about new offers and what's missing in a new offer and how we can tweak that to make that a better offer. Just getting that feedback without having to stumble and fall over ourselves when we have a bad offer or something doesn't go as planned. Life and business will not always go as planned. That is a guarantee.
Well, that's such a spot on guarantee because you're absolutely right. And when you were saying that, I was just thinking of all the entrepreneurs that I've met along the journey, and myself included, where we didn't ask for help in the beginning and there was so much struggle. Like when I started 7 years ago, it's like, I can do it on my own. I did this before, I can totally do this. And realizing it held me back so much by not asking for help or not getting a different perspective, because we only know what we know. And if we broaden our horizons and the lens a little bit, we can really be able to pull from each other and mastermind and be around networking events where people want to help you or asking for referrals, being able to be really transparent and vulnerable with where we're at. Because my husband and I always say we're on the solar coaster with solar, because some months are great, some are not. And it's just preparing for those months that aren't so great. We don't always prepare for that, especially in the beginning. But I think it goes back to what you said. It's ask for what you need, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And the worst thing you can hear is no. You just go to somebody else, like all the people that were rejected from publishers, networking, like for videos, movies, things like that. And just even in general, we hear no a lot, but it's knowing that you're closer to a yes and it's not giving up, and you didn't.
There have been people that will say to me, just, pray for abundance. Pray for abundance. And I'm like, but abundance doesn't just show up on your doorstep in the form of a wheelbarrow with money in it.
Right.
It doesn't. Abundance requires that you actually have feet on the street and that you're talking to people, and you cannot just use social media alone to generate your business. It's not going to work that way. I wish it was, because that would be the magic wand. It would be awesome if it did. But abundance comes when you believe it will happen, but you're also putting in the effort. And then you get blessed with the abundance because you're out there, you're putting yourself out there. Business is personal. It's the most personal thing I've ever done because I am putting 100% of myself out there to be accepted or rejected or crashing financially. All of those things are put out there as an entrepreneur, and that is personal. So I think we just have to remember that and get out there and do the work, and abundance does show up when you do the work.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I agree. It's everyone's like, oh, just manifest this or do this or just believe in it, pray for it, visualize it. But you
Mhm.
can do all those things, but if one, you don't believe in it, and two, if you're not actually taking the steps on a daily basis to get that abundance, because I heard so many conversations about this recently, and especially about the vision, but really believing in that and then doing the work towards that. And a lot of times I think people get stuck on like, well, I prayed for it, or I'm wanting to manifest it, or it's on my vision board, but whatever
Mm.
it may be, like there's nothing wrong with that because I've done that too. But I noticed when I flipped the script and was taking the action of doing things that are actually going to produce results. Like I could be on social media all day. And I just had this conversation with my husband the other day because I love social media. I love connecting with people on there too and in person. But a lot of times you see maybe influencers that are making so much money online. So you think, I mean, nobody sees their financials. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that do, but there's some that don't. And it's really putting out this image that might not be really true to what it is. And I think it goes back to the work. No matter what we do, we have to put in the work. And you've put in the work. You've had a successful business. You continue to have successful clients and other things that are happening in your life because you're doing the work and you've never given up. And there's ups and downs and everything in between and all the success that you have had. I'm just really curious, what is next for your business? What do you see your work evolving into in the future?
Well, I'm always looking for something. I mean, and you can see right behind me on my wall, I have my vision board.
Yes.
So there are things. What I would really love to do is I would love to do more photography at retreats and events that are more destination oriented, where I go and capture entrepreneurs doing business in other places. And I think that that's something that I would love to do. I've done some retreats, but I haven't gone to other big locations, which I would really like. I think I just want to continue to help businesses help, them be successful. So honestly, I want to do more branding work with clients. And I want to do that on a regular basis. I think one of the next offers that I'm working on, just flushing out the details, is how can I provide some kind of a subscription, if you will, of maybe they do a quarterly shoots. And that expense is also spread across the year versus at a one-time cost. So I'm working on some things like that, and I don't want to like let the whole cat out of the bag. But that's just a little teaser of, I think, what's coming. And certainly would welcome if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about that you might want to do that on a quarterly basis. I would just love to talk and just get some input about that as I design that offer.
Yeah, I'm like, we got to talk. That sounds amazing because you change so much throughout the year. And it's like, I know I get bored sometimes. I'm like, okay, I've used this photo so many times. I want to redo like another one, but being able to do it quarterly, I think would be phenomenal. Definitely write it in the comments if you're interested too, because I'm sure Lisa would love to have you on board too.
One thing I was going to say about that too is in social media, we chew up a lot of content. So you do need a lot of photos. And
Yeah.
while when you're brand new, you may not have the budget to get a lot, we'll leverage what we can. But as you're more established in your business, then I think that's when that offer of more regular photo shoots, then you're always kind of refreshing, and the refreshing of what you're doing on your social media and your website, that's also what helps to stop the scroll and attract people in addition to what it is that you're saying. It's like, oh, that was new. It's like eye candy. It's like all of a sudden, oh, that was new, or that's a new color, or whatever. It just stops the scroll a little bit and helps to get noticed.
Absolutely. It's like the seasons because if you break it down in the four quadrants of the year and just looking at the different seasons and where you are in your business too, like sometimes it's really fast paced and that can like be exuded through the photos versus it's a little slower, time to rest and whatever it may be for every business. But with all your insight, all the things that you've learned along this journey, what would you say are your top like 2 or 3 tips when it comes for entrepreneurs that are starting out in their journeys of entrepreneurship outside of getting help and being able to network? What would you say are super important?
I think the first thing is just to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe what you're doing is going to make a difference in the marketplace or in somebody's life, then it's going to be a harder sell. So you have to believe it before you can sell it. And that also will give you peace when you can believe what you're doing. And I think the other thing is make sure you get a really good mentor. And, whether it's a coach or a mentor, I think that that's really critical because this, the road of entrepreneurship will buck you off at every corner. I mean, there are many times, I've cried about it. I've wanted to throw in the towel, all of those things. But having a coach help you to just take some of that emotion out of it, but also have them help you redirect how you're thinking about it, because your thoughts are actually what creates your reality. So that's where you need the coaching, because our mind wants to keep us safe. And entrepreneurship never feels safe. It really doesn't. So you're always trying to talk yourself out of it. And you need to be talking yourself into it and believing in yourself.
I had a lot of thoughts that came up when you were talking about believing yourself and wanting to throw in the towel. And I know there's probably like, I would say in the beginning, it was probably every day. I was like, this doesn't make sense. After the 6 month mark, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. I need to go back to work, whatever it was, but wanting to throw in the towel. And that's just such a common theme throughout entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
What outside of like with coaching, having that mindset reframe, what helped you stay motivated when even with your mindset, even having the coaches, what really helped you stay on track and continue forward?
I think for me, I believe that you should do what you love. And I love everything I'm doing. So while I work a lot of hours, and my friends would attest to that because they never see me or seldom see me, I should say. But when I'm working, I don't feel like I'm working all the time. I feel like I'm in my joy. And so I think you've got to find what is going to carry you through. And it's the joy. And for me, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, who is going to be the one that I get to work with today, or that they get to work with me? That is what motivates me to get out of bed. And who can I make a difference in their life today? That's my goal. That's what carries me, through those hard times, is I know why I'm doing this. And I believe in everything I'm doing that it does make a difference, because there's proof and people tell me, and I see it in their businesses after they've worked with me. So that's what keeps me going. I'm very disciplined because my discipline is everything I do goes back to what's on that vision board. I am grounded in my story about what I'm creating for my life. And everything I do, when somebody wants me to go out and play some night, if that is not going to help me move my story forward, then I can't. And granted, it's fun to have fun,
Yeah.
but fun also is not going to just pay the bills. So I try to have fun, but I also try to be disciplined about when I do that.
I love this because I think it is about that discipline, knowing where our priorities are. Yes,
Mhm.
there's going to be opportunities we can't take because we're focused on our business and growing it. But also, like from what you've said too, your passion and everything that you're doing, you love it and it is fun for you being able to do branding, photo shoots, senior photos, things along those lines that really fill your cup, and being able to help somebody new every day or being able to work with you every day. And it's just putting that out there and recognizing, staying grounded in what fuels you every single day, even when it's hard, even when you have to make those tough decisions. But I love that you persevered and all that you've accomplished and will continue to accomplish. And I've enjoyed this conversation so much, Lisa. But where can people find you, find your services? We're going to link everything below, but if you could let us know too.
Yeah, so you can find me. My website is lisacraigphotography.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I actually have been in those platforms since they were beta. So I've been on them since before many people. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Also, my phone number, all of that contact information is on my website. So that's probably the best place to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for just sharing all your insights, the ups, downs, everything in between, but what you're really doing to stand out and help others stand out in their businesses and their brand identity. So thank you again for coming on and just sharing your journey with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What was the biggest takeaway from Lisa today? I'm sure she would love to see that comment, and we'll see you on the next episode.